Thank you so much for joining me this morning. It's lovely to have you here. And we're going to start in a seated position this morning. So you can choose any seat that suits you, whether that be cross-legged, kneeling, on a cushion. We just want to be able to balance our weight on top of the pelvis, sit equally over both sit bones, and just feel that we're able to sit up tall with a sense of it not being too difficult. So shoulders can easily settle and we can keep our head lifted on top of our body without it feeling too heavy. So sometimes it's quite nice just to have a shift around, have a little circle of the body until you find that spot where you think, this is quite even. And we'll take one hand to the back of the head. So I like to find that rounded part of the back of the head, and one hand to the sacrum, and that's the back of your pelvis. So just above those glutes and above your tailbone, you have this fused triangular flat bone where the individual vertebrae of the spine come down and fuse together. And our aim really here is to press our heads back into our hands so that our head comes to stack on top of the spine, and then the spine protrudes immediately up from the pelvis. So we honor this neutral S-shaped curve of our spine and really honor the natural curvature of the back of the neck as well. So you can release the hand from the back of the pelvis and just use your thumb or fingers just to trace up and down the back of the neck, up to that rounded part of your skull. So just feel for those little vertebrae there. This is the beginning of the spine, the top of the spine, the cervical spine, where we have 5 little individual vertebrae. And this is such an important part of our body as well. This little section of the spine actually contains our spinal cord, our brain cord. So as you can imagine, it's super important. And it's good to know where it is, what it's doing. It should have this natural lordotic curve, so a little C curve inwards. And we can find that by gently pointing the chin down as well, so that we might imagine that we're cupping a little peach underneath the chin to find that natural tiny curve at the back of the neck. And then once you feel that you can hold that position, you can just release the hand down, release the shoulders. And we'll just take a moment to take 3 breaths here, just noticing how it feels in this neutral position, this home base. So you might like to close your eyes down or soften your gaze completely. You might simply find a single point of focus. As we try to take the breath in and out through the nose, just notice how your breath feels this morning, or whatever time of day that you're doing this practice. In through the nose, perhaps you can feel the ribs expand as you take the air in. And then out through the nose, just feel that gentle contraction rather than a forceful breathe out. Just take one more breath here. And then we'll add in a little movement. So we're going to reach the arms out and up. As the arms come up overhead, the palms might face one another. We're going to take a little pivot so that our heart points towards left knee. And then just allow that right arm to cross the body, the left arm to come down by your side or behind you. As you inhale, sweep the arms back up, recenter your body. And we take that little pivot to face right side, right knee, and left arm will come down across the body towards that right knee. Let's do that 2 more times. Arms reach up, we center, arms come down, we pivot. Good, let's do that 1 more time. Reach the arms up. We'll take that pivot towards left knee, allow the right arm to come. It might rest on the outside of the left knee. It might wrap around towards the left set of ribs or hips, and the left arm's going to reach up overhead, so bicep by left ear, and you're going to reach that that left arm up and over towards right side. So you want to feel a contraction down the right side of the body and a lengthening down the left side of the body. You might gently shimmy your chest forwards and that top arm back. And you might even release that right ear here to get that lateral flexion all the way down the left side into the neck as well. Good job. Imagine you've got a rope on that right side and you're going to use the left hand to pull that rope to pull you up, up, up with control. Release that left hand back down. We go back, arms reach, we take our center point, we pivot to the right, left hand lands across to the right side. You can place that hand wherever you like, whether that be on the outside knee, thigh, ribs or hip. And then we reach that right arm up and over towards left side. So now we find that length all the way down the right side of the body. Shimmy the chest forward. You might find a gentle sensation there. And you might even use your hands to smooth that tissue from the pelvic spine all the way up to the ribs, almost as though you're easing that tissue up, out, and finding that gentle release. You can release left ear down too to get that stretch all the way down the side of the neck. And then imagining that rope on left side, using right hand to pull that rope to draw yourself up, up, up with control back to your center, two hands release back down. Imagine you're tucking that little peach underneath the chin again. Now right hand comes to cup the back of the head. Left hand will come to your sacrum, gently press your head back into hand. As you take a breath in, see if you can find length through the side seams of the body without flaring ribs forward. So keep that sense of containment and organization in the front of the trunk. On your next exhale, take a twist towards your left. Inhale back to center. We'll do that 2 more times. We twist towards the left. We're using midsection of the spine, the thoracic spine now, to twist us. And we're keeping our hand at the back of the head just to feel where our head and neck is in space. 1 more time. We twist towards the left. We come back to center. Let's release that right arm out to the side. Push your hand as though it's pushing against a wall. You can release that left hand wherever it feels comfortable. Our right arm is at shoulder height. You might just drop your right ear down to the right shoulder now, gently tuck the chin in. And then doing that bicep, showing your muscles sign with right arm, left ear will drop to left shoulder. Keep that chin gently nestling in. It tends to have a tendency to want to creep or project forwards. Let's do that 2 more times now. So push against the wall with right hand, right ear drops. And then bicep curl, left ear drops. 1 more of these. Good. Release that right hand down. Have a little shake out of your shoulders, a little roll, maybe backwards and forwards. And then come back to center. This time, left hand's going to cup the back of the head. Right hand will come to sacrum. Just find that neutral positioning again, that containment at the front of the ribs. As you lengthen on the inhale, you rotate towards the right on your exhale. Inhale, we come back to center. Exhale, we rotate. So it's often this mid-junction of our spine, the T-spine, that gets quite sticky. It tends to lock up, but really it's where we want some mobility. And when the T-spine is mobile, that tends to have a knock-on effect on how the shoulders and how the neck feels as well. Good. Return to center. You're going to create that stop sign with left arm now, pressing left hand as though it's pressing against a wall. You can take that right hand wherever it feels comfortable, dropping left ear to left shoulder, coming back up, right ear to right shoulder, 2 more of these, being mindful of where the chin is in space. Last one, really push against that wall. You might feel a tingling down the arm or into the finger, and that's okay. Come back, release, and have that little shimmy. Shake out those shoulders, roll out the wrists. And then when you're ready, we'll meet in tabletop position. 2 hands, 2 knees. So option to take a block on the back of the head, or to use your hands on the back of the head, just doing exactly what we were doing in that seated position, being aware of where the head is in space, trying to lift the skull up in line with the spine. You might find that engagement at the front of the throat. It can be a little bit foreign if we're used to our head dropping and hanging, but over time you'll increase that strength of the neck flexors to be able to keep the head lifted. Our shoulders will stack on top of wrists, and we're going to get this torquing sensation. So imagine that you're opening jam jars out to the edges of your mat. Gently take a little twist of the hands as though you're opening those jam jars, and biceps and inner elbows will tend to point generally forwards towards the top of the mat. You might find that you feel more stability in the arms and around the shoulders now. Scoop the lower belly up and keep a level pelvis as you extend that right leg behind you. Keep the ball of the toe on the ground or on the mat, and keep a level pelvis. So just look between your legs and notice if you've got the belly of your thigh and knee pointing down to the ground, or if it's more lifted out to the right. If it's more lifted, just gently draw that right side of pelvis back down, keeping skull lifted. We'll add in some little pulses up and down of that right foot. Keep lower belly scooping in. Chin is cupping that peach and gaze is down, perhaps between the hands. If you notice that you're arching through the spine, just take that leg a little lower. Good job. 3, 2, 1. Take right toes back down to the ground. Option for bird dog now. Extending left bicep by ear. Option to hover that right foot. Again, keep belly of thigh and right knee pointing down to your mat. Scooping lower belly up, we hold. 3, 2, 1, and release left hand, right knee down. Take your right hand behind the skull. Gently press head back into your hand. Take an inhale here, and as you exhale, open the chest towards the right. So we're getting those little thoracic rotations again that we were doing in that seated position. 2 more of these. Right elbow points down, and then we exhale to rotate. 1 more. Rotate towards your right, straighten right arm, so fingers point to the sky, and then thread the needle, right arm underneath left armpit. Release right shoulder, right ear down to the ground. If you want more rotation here, you might puff up onto left fingertips. Imagine you've got a nice ice cupcake underneath there, and gently ease your chest around to the left. Good. Press that left hand back down. Use it to lift your way back up. Feel free to open and extend that right arm again, and place 2 hands back down onto the mat. So we're going to go for some little scapular push-ups. So we keep strong, straight arms here. We're not bending into elbows. We keep the knees underneath the hips, and we're just going to dip the chest down towards the mat. We feel our shoulder blades clip in towards the spine, and then we push the ground away as much as we can. The shoulder blades will spread against the back of the body. So a few of these, dipping chest, clipping shoulder blades, and then puffing and really pressing that ground away. Good. You might speed it up a little bit, keep strong, straight arms, keep those elbows from taking the weight. So we're using the shoulder blades, the shoulder girdle here, to strengthen the muscles surrounding it. 3, 2, and 1. Good job. Pad your hands back towards your knees. Have a little roll out of your wrists. Have a shake out. And then we're going to repeat that on the other side. So I'm just going to spin so you can see me. You don't need to. 2 hands down underneath shoulders, spread the fingers wide, get that sensation of opening those jam jars out towards the left, the outer edges of your mat, knees underneath hips. Throat is engaged, so the skull is lifted, our gaze is down as we extend left leg behind us. Check behind you, look underneath and see if that thigh and knee point down to the ground. If they do, great. If not, make a little adjustment and then begin to hover and pulse that left leg up and down. So we're just moving at the hip extension. This can feel quite strong on the whole core of the body, the shoulders. You might feel this in your glutes. 3, 2, and 1. Take those left toes back down to the ground. Option for bird dog, extending right arm by ear. Option to hover that left foot. Really strong through left arm, pushing the ground away. You might imagine 4 corners of the torso drawing in towards belly button as though it's like a corseting sensation, and then belly button pulling towards spine. Good job. Release that right hand, left knee down. This time, left hand cups the back of the skull as we rotate towards the left. And then chest back down to the ground. 2 more. Keep that engagement of head threading into hand. Keep breathing. Last time we open towards left, we extend and straighten arm, fingertips to the sky. For thread the needle, left arm underneath right armpit. Release that left ear, left shoulder down to the ground. This is an opportunity to reconnect with your breath. Pressing into right hand to lift and come back to tabletop. We've got those little scapular pushes. So strong straight arms, wrists underneath shoulders, neutral through the rest of the body, spine and pelvis as we drop chest down. Imagine the shoulder blades clipping towards the spine, and then we push as hard as we can around away from the ground. Good. So we're aiming for about 10 to 12. Scooping lower belly up, keep that skull lifted. 9. Good, a few more. 3, 2, 1. Good job. Pad those hands all the way back towards the knees. Have a little shimmy of your shoulders, shake out of your wrists. Reconnect with your breath. And then come to stand up on your knees. Take hold of the pelvis, so cup each side of your pelvis. You might have fingers rolling forwards towards those bony protrusions at the front, thumbs wrapping around the side and back. Our gaze is straight ahead. We're going to step our right foot forwards. Level the pelvis out, so feel for those bony protrusions and check that they're level with one another. And then just gently shift your weight back until skull is on top of pelvis. Take one hand to back of head, one hand to back of pelvis. Lift up tall here, press head back into hand. And then release those hands back down, drawing right heel and left knee towards one another. It's like a draw and a push. This will help stabilize lower body as we bring mobility into upper body. So arms reach forwards and up, goalpost in our arms here. Elbows come shoulder height. We clench our fists. We're going to take internal rotation at the shoulders. So our fists are going to come forwards and down, down, down towards the ground. We're going to keep our elbows lifted shoulder height, but really push our knuckles back, back, back. Keep lower belly scooping in. Good. Come back up, forwards and up. Now we take external rotation where we really push our knuckles back, back, back. Just look at your arms and see if the wrists are bending. If they are, just straighten that out. We want to keep length, a nice long length through the joints. We're working the shoulders. Good, come back to neutral. Let's do that one more time. Knuckles point forwards and down. Now we really push back, back, back behind us. Keep those elbows lifted. So we're internally rotating that humeral head, that ball in its socket. Good, come back to neutral. And then we push the knuckles back, back, back. Well done, come back to neutral. Keep that stability through lower body. So squeeze right heel and left knee towards one another. As you inhale, find that length through the side seams of the body. As you exhale, twist towards your right knee. Inhale back to center. Exhale, twist. So this little pattern that we've built up from seated to tabletop and now in a low lunge, come back to center. Arms come in as we curl away round through the spine, taking our forehead towards the right knee. Inhale to lift and open arms back up. 2 more. Arms come in. We really protract and draw shoulder blades away from one another. As we come up, we open and shoulder blades clip towards the spine. Last one, arms come in. We curl them round. And we inhale to lift and open. Bring 2 hands down to the ground, maybe in between that front foot or either side of that front foot, sorry. And then step your right knee back to meet left. Shoulders on top of wrists. As we shimmy our knees back, back, back behind us, we come into a modified plank. Scoop the lower belly up. Bring the hands underneath shoulders. Even have a look at your arms and what they're doing. And then we're going to lower down in one piece. So draw the collarbones forwards. Keep chin tucked, gaze down. Lower the belly to the floor all the way down. Cobra pose. Hands frame the chest as we peel the chest up, roll the shoulders back. Take a breath here. Gaze is just forwards and down here. Again, be aware of just throwing your head back in space and just understand why you're doing that. We're going to keep that lovely length and neutral curve at the back of the spine today. Tuck the toes, shift your bum back towards the heels, where we'll lift the tailbone and pelvis up to the sky for downward facing dog. I like to walk my feet in a little closer to my hands for more stability and bend into my knees to bring lower belly towards thighs. Just like when we were doing those little scapular pushes in tabletop, I'm going to press the ground away as hard as I can and gaze between legs. Take a breath here. Keep that containment in the front of the body to find that length through back of body. In downward dog, our spine should be in that neutral position like it was when we were in that seated position at the front of class. And then we're going to drop down to our knees, pad the hands back and come to kneeling. So we'll repeat that on the other side. Find neutral through the pelvis. Use your hands to feel where it is in space. Upper body, skull on top of that experience. Left leg steps forwards. I like to think about 2 knees being on train tracks. So I've got a little bit of a gap between 2 legs, and then that helps with stability. You can even take that front or back knee a little wider. And we're going to drag left heel and right knee towards one another. One hand to back of skull, one hand to back of pelvis. Take a breath here, being aware of where you are in space. You should feel an opening at the front of right hip, right glute is active and energized. As we release the hands, the arms come forward and up. We take those goalpost arms, elbows, shoulder height. Internal rotation, the knuckles drop forwards and down to the ground. And then we push back, back, back. Keep those elbows lifted at shoulder height. Be aware of the wrists doing the work for you. And then come forwards and up. Now we take knuckles back, 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 external rotation. One more. Knuckles come forwards and down. We push back, back, back. And then come all the way up. Take those knuckles back, back, back. You can even look and see what your arm's doing. Mine are really cheeky and try and get out of this movement by either taking my arm further behind me or allowing my wrist just to move. Good job. Come back to a neutral position where we're going to find length through upper body and then rotate towards that left knee. Hopefully you're feeling a little less sticky in midsection of spine. 2 more of these. Keep dragging left heel and right knee towards one another, or you might imagine squeezing something in between your thighs. Last one. Chest comes forwards, where arms come in, we curl and round. As we lift and open, the wings of the shoulder blades clip towards the spine. 2 more, curl and round. Come up and open. Last one. Come up, open. 2 hands land either side of that front foot. Left knee steps next to right. Shoulders on top of wrists. Get that jam jar sensation of torquing the arms. So elbows, inner elbows and bicep face forwards. Walk the knees back. Find that real sense of engagement, lower belly lifted, gaze down, head lifted as we lower the body in one piece. Try and avoid dropping that lower belly first. Peel the chest up for cobra. Option to take those goalpost arms here, where we take elbows at shoulder height, squeeze into those glutes, wrap towards tailbone. Deep breath. 2 hands land either side of your chest, tuck toes, press the bum back to a child's pose, bum towards heels, chest and forehead, gaze towards the ground. You might take 2 fists or a block underneath forehead to bring the ground up to you, or you might take a block underneath the bum or a cushion. Just reconnecting with your breath here. Good job. Press the fingertips into the ground, reach arms out in front of you. Use your fingers to pull you up, up, up. Tabletop position where we work through cat-cow. Cow pose, we drop the belly, we draw chest forwards. You might take the gaze forwards, but just be aware of what the back of the neck is doing, what the chin and throat is doing. And then curl and round, tucking tailbone, pressing the ground away. You might drop chin towards chest. Spinal extension, chest draws forwards for cow. And then flex, round. One more round, draw chest forwards. And as you curl and round, you might sit bum back towards heels, knees wide, child's pose. In this child's pose, extend the arms out in front of you. Walk the hands all the way off to the left of the mat. They might even come off the mat. Drop your chest and forehead down. So you get more of this length down right side of body. You might even take right hand and press it on top of left. Take the knees as wide as feels comfortable for you. Walking hands back to center. Take any movement, maybe a shimmy, where we'll take hands all the way over to the right of the mat. You might take left palm on top of right for more sensation in this experience, dropping chest and forehead down. Walking hands all the way back to center. Pad the hands back to the knees and then just shimmy your feet out in front of you. We're going to lay into a fish pose. So you might take your block or prop here. I like to take it on the wide, long setting. And I feel for the back of my shoulder blades, feel for that bottom of the wing. And that's what I will rest at the top of the block. Top edge of the block will come just underneath those shoulder blades. You might take the elbows wide and cup the head into the hands so that your chest points up to the sky, knees point up. If you feel quite comfortable here, you might walk your feet out long. And if you don't have a block, simply bring the shoulders down onto the ground and walk your shoulders underneath you until you feel the chest lifted. Again, we're not going to throw the head back here. We're going to keep a neutral through the chin. You might close your eyes down or soften your gaze. If you're on a block, you might even have a little shimmy side to side or come up and around so that you get like a little tissue release, a little massage here. Beginning to think about making your way out. So you might press up onto forearms. You might roll to one side. If you've got a block, just release that to the side of you. And then come to lay all the way down onto the back of the body. Perhaps taking hands on the ribs and just feeling the experience of your breath. As you breathe in, ribs expand into hands as the diaphragm comes down and relaxes to allow air to fill the lungs. And as you exhale a soft release, that diaphragm will contract up, pushing the air back out of lungs. Aiming to keep the chest relatively still and just working this diaphragm that starts at the bottom of the rib cage. Breathing in and out through nose where possible. Making this your final round of intentional breath, where we'll take feet long, arms up above our heads. We might interlace hands and take a really long stretch as though it's our first good morning stretch of the day. You might have a wiggle and a shimmy. You might keep a bend in the elbows. And when you're ready, either make your way into your own relaxation to take some time for yourself in stillness, or you might like to roll to one side and make your way up if you are ready to continue with the rest of your day. I'll just leave you by saying thank you so much for joining me. And hopefully you feel a little more freer in your body.